Hey there, welcome back to another review, this time of the 2016 horror film Beyond the Gates. Which, why does this seem to always happen to me? I'm probably not alone here. This is probably something that anyone who has decided to take a chance on something that is a newer horror film lately has probably encountered. But it just seems like it always seems to happen to me lately. So we have another horror film, another independent horror film that I see a trailer for that I think looks interesting, looks like it might be good, and well, guess what? The movie turns out to be shit. So Beyond the Gates, more like Beyond the Taints, because that's how much this film sucked. So the movie, it's so frustrating because this film has a really cool idea. It just does nothing with it. It does the bare minimum. It does a few things, but it doesn't do that much at all. So it has a really fun idea, but it isn't any fun to watch. It's one of those movies. Great. Wonderful. So Beyond the Gates is a film that I was interested in watching because from the trailer it looked like a little throwback to 80s horror. And you know me, I'm a big fan of 80s horror. And it looked like it had like a sort of synth soundtrack, and it had a cool idea. It was like the horror version of Jumanji, and I was like, all right, cool. Like this looks like it might be fun. There were shots inside a video store, so I was like, okay, all right, cool. Looks right up my alley. It looked like something straight out of my imagination, and so I decided to give the film a look. And all I gotta say is the hipsters who wrote this movie and directed it, they tricked my ass. uh. And what do I mean by that? Because this film feels like the most disingenuous homage throwback film I think I've ever seen. Not even the opening credits are genuine. It's got this cool little shot of the inner workings of a VCR with a synthwave soundtrack over it, but it just doesn't feel genuine. It feels like it's fake. It feels like it's just the writers and the directors' idea of what retro is. And it seems like it's a hipster's idea of what retro 80s horror is. I don't get the 85% Rotten Tomatoes. I don't understand that at all. And I've read those reviews, and to each their own. I just don't get it, because for the most part what I see is a film that has a cool idea, and it should get a little bit of praise for that. But other than that, it's got not much else going for it. So the film is directed by Jackson Stewart, and it's also co-written by Jackson Stewart as well as Steven Scarlatta. I don't know who is responsible for making this film 95% drama and dialogue and 5% horror, but whoever it is, to be honest, deserves a fucking beating. Because, I mean, what were you thinking? You have this really fun, cool idea of a haunted VCR board game, and you don't start playing it until 45 minutes into the damn film, and then by then you only barely start playing it. Then you stop playing it to deal with more drama bullshit, and then it's just back and forth between, oh, I don't want to play the game, I don't want to hurt my girlfriend, and then finally, in like the last 10 or 15 minutes, you finally finish the fucking game. I mean, the film was sold on the idea that it was a horror version of Jumanji and a throwback to 80s horror. And there's barely any of that in it at all. So that's what's extremely frustrating about this film, is that it was false advertising. This film's about 84 minutes, and it feels like it's 2 hours and 24 minutes long because the pacing is piss poor. It is extremely slow. Why? Because not much of anything happens until they start playing the game. Because the film spent way too much of its short running time trying to build up to something and to build characters, and it's not interesting. And it's not engaging, and it's not fun. The best things about this movie seem like they're in the background. They're put on the back burner for generic, bland family drama. So anyway, the film also features an alright cast, except for the lead, who is absolutely miserable and pathetic. You have Barbara Crampton, who has a little cameo role as the hostess of the Haunted VCR board game, and I actually like. She does a great job. I wish she was in a better film, but she's good. She's having fun, and I had fun with her performance. I just wish the film itself was more fun. I wish the writers actually knew how to make a fun 80s throwback horror film. Because it appeared to me that either they had no idea how to do it, or they had no passion for it, and were just trying to ride the coattails of this recent retro 80s boom. I don't know which one it is, but either way, it doesn't work. Either way, it's a fuck up. So you also have Brea Grant, who plays Margot, who is the girlfriend of our wimpy, namby-pamby pussy lead, played by Graham Skipper. I believe that's who it is. And Brea Grant was all right. She was decent. And then you also have Chase Williamson plays Gordon's younger brother John, and he was there. It was okay. Nobody in the cast was like, "Wow, they're amazing. Wow, this performance is fantastic." Nobody was like that. There was no one in the cast that was like that. They were all just, all right. They're there. They're okay. Barbara Crampton was probably the closest to probably the best actor in the whole movie. And a few other people, like Jesse Merlin plays some store owner named Elric. Justin Wellborn plays some redneck piece of shit called Hank. Henry LeBlanc plays Bob. I think that's their dad or something. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. This movie, honestly, it's left my memory. It's left my brain because it didn't leave that much of an impact, except for how much it pissed me off by wasting such a cool idea and such an interesting concept and wasting so much potential. So anyway, here's basically the gist of this film. It opens up sort of a little bit of flashback to young Gordon and young John when they're helping opening up their dad's video store, and then it flashes forward, and their dad has gone missing. It's been missing for 7 months, and now you have Gordon and John are deciding to pack up the video store and just move on from their lives. Now that's all well and good. I mean, that's a nice little setup for some fun. But you have a screenplay that comes at this from the point of view that, oh, VHS is an archaic thing, it's outdated, it's not very cool. At least that's not what it seems like. It absolutely screams of a writer who sees that there's this recent sort of boom of VHS collectors, especially in the horror genre. And it just comes across as, we need to appeal to that audience, but it doesn't come across from a person who actually is a fan, of 80s horror, or is a fan of 80s VHS, or that kind of niche. So it just comes across as completely fake. And it's so frustrating. In fact, the video store itself has more charisma and is more interesting than our lead. Our lead, like I said, he's this namby-pamby pussy who is this character who, I don't know what is up with this guy. It seems like he's freebasing fucking Ambien. He has no personality. He's one note. He's he's just a fucking sad sack. It's an absolutely pathetic choice for a lead. What were they thinking? What were these writers thinking? Yeah, let's make the hero some just really sad sack of a nerd. Yeah, the saddest nerd that you will ever see in your life, who acts like he has a stick up his ass. Yeah, that's a great lead for our horror film. So anyway, yeah, this guy is awful. Graham Skipper, please do us all a favor and never grace the screen with your acting ever again. So you would think, okay, all right, then we're building up, okay, we're having a little bit of a backstory thing going on here, all right. Their relationship with their father was strained because he was a drunk, all right, okay, I get it, okay, all right. Fine. The relationship between Gordon and his girlfriend is not the best, and they're trying to make things work out. But, Gordon was a drunk like his dad earlier and stopped drinking after he hurt her. Okay, all right, I get it. This film, it seems like it took the wrong example from the movie Jumanji. It's like the writer saw Jumanji and was like, you know what the best thing about that movie was? The drama. Not the fun, not the animals, not the board game, the drama. I gotta be honest, you're sorely mistaken. That's not what the best thing about Jumanji was. The drama elements were good. Don't get me wrong. They added a lot of weight to the story, but the film had a lot of levity. The film was fun. It was fast-paced. It was entertaining, even though it had its dramatic moments, because it knew how to balance those things together. It knew how to balance them out. These writers have no idea how to do that, because most of the film is just drama. And after a while, you just start to tune out, and you start to not give a shit. And you're just waiting for them to play the fucking game. And finally they do, and then it's not that much. So even that's disappointing. So, to be honest, the only board game that you're really going to get while watching this movie is the type of bored that's spelled out B-O-R-E-D, as in bored out of your fucking mind. Because this movie is beyond boring. Because of this problem. Because of this focus, for some reason, on drama over horror and over fun. Now, it's not all bad. There are some good things about it. Some nice little practical effects, practical gore effects. There's a nice little disembowelment. There's a really great head exploding scene. All right. And there's a little bit of more blood here and there, and the idea itself is really cool and different and a nice take on Jumanji. There's a lot of potential there, and a couple of the cast members do adequate jobs with their performances, but the directing is flat. It's static. You can tell this is a director that either A, doesn't have passion for this genre, or B, isn't very experienced. And it's a low budget film, but it does not look like a $3 million production. This movie supposedly cost $3 million to make. Where did the money go? Because I've seen films that have cost $3 million or even less than that and have had way higher production values than this. For example, Guyver 2 Dark Hero is a cheaper film. It didn't have $3 million to work with, and it did a lot more with its budget than this film does. This film is a climax that just takes place in the basement with some trippy green and purple lighting and some just lame zombies. And that's it. That's all the climax is. After all this build-up, that's what your climax is. A fucking few scenes in a basement with a fog machine. So, yeah, I mean, they're spending all this time building up to something, and even whatever they do build up to isn't very good. I'll give the film this. It did not have a sequel bait ending like I thought it would. I mean, it did have the whole sort of thing where the board game shows up at the store again and some other guy decides to buy it. But it didn't have the type of sequel bait ending or depressing ending where it's like, oh, you won the game, but no, you really didn't. Ha 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 ha, your souls are mine. None of that shit. So I'll give the film credit for that. That's not saying much at all. This film needed a writer and a director who was really creative, who was very passionate about the genre, that knew what they were talking about, and it needed somebody like the guys who made Kung Fury. Get those type of guys to make this type of movie, and you could have had a classic. But here you have guys who, in my opinion, are faux, fake 80s horror and VHS fans who they try to throw in these sort of references here and there to try to make it look like, see, we're one of the fans, but it just does not come across genuine in any way whatsoever. It comes across as fake and lame. So, and that's really Movie's lame. That's a prime way to that's a perfect way to sum it up. It's a lame movie. It's a lame fuck. It's a lame duck. It really is. And it sucks. Because I thought this concept and this idea had so much potential, but it's wasted with a really shit screenplay, a shitty story, flat direction, a lead who is about as interesting as watching fucking grass grow, and just a few bits of gore here and there, and some fun stuff with Barbara Crampton, but that's really about it. The score was okay at times. I was sure it was pretty good for the most part. I really liked the synth score, but it just didn't really save the film. So yeah, I really don't know what to say about Beyond the Gates, aka Beyond the Taints, except just like another film that has a really cool idea with a haunted VCR or a haunted TV, like The Video Dead, that had cool cover art, but the movie was a piece of shit. For some reason, once again, we can't have a throwback film or a film that deals with a VCR or a TV that has a horror element to it that doesn't suck a bag of dicks. I don't know why, but this seems to be a problem that even in 2016 still exists. So, yeah, I don't know what to say about Beyond the Taints, except it was a rate out of 5 stars. It gets 1.5 out of 5 stars. 1.5 out of 5 because of a couple of the performances by the supporting cast members, Brea Grant and Chase Williamson. They at least look like they had some semblance of talent, unlike the lead. And Barbara Crampton, and those couple gore scenes that I talked about, and the synth score, and the idea. But that's all I can give it, because this is a film I never want to watch again unless I'm having a hard time sleeping. You want a cure for insomnia? Watch this movie. Because the first 45 minutes are a perfect replacement for NyQuil. So anyway, thanks for watching my review / rant on Beyond the Gates. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, I will see you guys later. See ya.